I'm here with an old friend of mine. Not old. He's not old. I'm old. I'm old. The great Don Lemon. He's runaway hit, the Don Lemon Show on YouTube. Everywhere you get podcasts. It's must listen to and must see. I don't want to call it TV. It's must see streaming. I guess that's what we're going to say. And congratulations. You're off to a great start.
Thank you very much, Donny. I appreciate that. I mean, I think it's still TV. It's just a different mechanism, delivery mechanism, right?
It is amazing. It is amazing YouTube, how dominant that is, and how maybe people in the traditional TV world don't understand the power, particularly of YouTube TV.
I'm glad you said that, because I get more people now. I have to tell you, let me qualify that. During the height of COVID and the height of George Floyd, like when people were sitting at home, right during that time, I would go out for when we could go out, and I couldn't go anywhere, or like during the Trump thing. But now people are like, I saw you on YouTube. I saw you on this podcast. I saw you on that podcast.
And maybe they're under the age of 60 also. That's another difference. Yeah.
It used to be, my mom watches you. My mom loves you, or my grandmother loves you. Can I get a picture with you? Now it's, I saw your interview with Elon Musk, or I saw you on the Nelk Boys. Or I saw you, I'm sure I saw you on Donny Deutsch. Donny, I had to call my old building in Harlem a couple of days ago to get some, I think there was a delivery or something for me. And the guy answered the phone. He said, hey, it's, name of the building, it's Thomas. And I said, hey, Thomas, it's Don. I understand you guys. He goes, yeah, I was just watching you on such and such podcast. And it floored me.
It's the world. It's the world now. So you got off to a very interesting beginning. Very well documented right now. You've talked about a lot, which I just want to touch on for a couple of minutes, where you were going to be a lead on Twitter and you had, or X, and you had an interview with Elon Musk that went a little off the rails, so to speak. I mean, for lack of a better description. And so now that it's been a couple of months, I'd love some reflections on thoughts, do things differently, lessons learned, all the above.
Well, I don't know if I would do anything differently besides maybe I wouldn't have gone into business with him.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he actually believes what he says, right? I don't, freedom of speech. Everyone has this whole idea about freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, honestly, Donny, has nothing to do, as you know, with a social media site. It's really about the government, right? The government can make no laws, and it's about governmental institutions. It's not really any private business. Any platform can get to decide to kick you off, and it has nothing absolutely to do with free speech. So that whole idea about being a free speech absolutist, okay, that's possible, but I don't know if it applies to social media, because, whoever owns that site has, the ability to be able to do whatever they want to do. So I probably would have listened to Kara Swisher.
Right.
And I wouldn't have.
Who knows better, right?
Who knows better, and wouldn't have wasted my time. But as far as the interview, no, because I was just asking him questions about public statements that he made and about stuff that he tweeted out. And obviously it wasn't a gotcha. I had nothing against him, man. I was going to go into business with him.
No, it was good. By the way, I thought there were no curveballs. It was down the middle. You asked some tough questions, some fair questions. Nothing there wasn't a gotcha interview. And I think the guy just halfway through was like, well, I don't need to be answering to anybody about anything. And it was as simple as that. And that's kind of scary.
Yeah. I've seen him at, I forget it was at the Milken conference, and someone asked him, they just read his public statements and said, do you still agree with that? Which is basically what I did, but he didn't run off the stage and say, how dare you? I don't air this, but it was a really odd reaction.
Let's talk a little about what's going on in the world. As we're speaking today, this will be breaking in a week or two, but the jury has just gone into deliberations for Trump. And I said to you off the air, nobody gives a shit. And you were like, please say that again. So I'm saying it again. I don't mean to minimize it. It's an ex-president. It's a criminal trial. But as far as swaying votes one way or the other, I don't think people outside of the Beltway or in our media circles even give a shit.
I don't believe they do. And listen, for the time that I was away from being on the air until, about March, whenever I started the show, I rarely talked to people about Donald Trump. That's not what they talk to me about. Yeah. Now, this is unusual in that we have a former sitting president who's facing criminal charges, right? Who's in courts, who is now in the court system, as my dad would say, don't go out there and do anything in trouble that, those people are going to get you hung up, meaning the justice folks.
Right.
And now he's caught up in the legal system. But Donnie, I realize that you can be informed without being inundated. So I don't have to sit around and watch.
It's a great set of words. It's a great set of words. Yeah.
I don't have to every single nuance, every single micro breaking little development in the Donald Trump case or cases. I don't need it. And most people aren't paying attention to it. But when you're in that world, you think everybody's saying, oh, Donald Trump fell asleep in court. Okay, that may be funny or whatever. Or Donald Trump broke wind in court. That may be funny. But all these little things where, the cable news is like, shh, breaking news is happening.
Yeah.
Most people are not paying attention to it.
So
I don't think it's going to sway a vote. I do think that it is a win that he is in a courtroom and there is some accountability depending, whatever the verdict is. I feel like there is a win in it for the American people.
Yeah. I want it over. I want him out there because the more he's out there, the more he can self-destruct. This is a safe place for him. And look, I think if he gets convicted, it hurt him a tiny bit on the margins, but I think if he gets found not guilty, that's going to help him more than it would hurt him being found guilty, because then he gets to be like, they try and get me, they can't get me, everything else bullshit they've always brought against me. As I said, I think we're talking very slightly on the margins.
I think it's a wash, Donnie, whether he's guilty or innocent. I think if he's or not guilty, if he's guilty, then it energizes his base to, and to get other people to vote for him. And it energizes, the sort of podcast bro world who believe like, they love Donald Trump because they actually believe in the BS that he spouts. They're upset about vaccines and COVID, and they believe these conspiracy theories, et cetera. And I think if it's not guilty, it's just going to be, it was a witch hunt, and, they can't come get me. So I actually think either way, it's a wash. I really do.
So nobody's been able to answer this question, and it is a great mystery to me, as so much is about Trump. Please explain to me the erosion in the African-American vote, particularly African-American males, explain to me why they would be leaving Biden and moving to Trump. And kind of double, once again, these are just polls at this point, but a significant movement at a huge critical part of Biden's base. Please explain in 100 words or less.
Okay. So,
by the way, use as many words as you want. You can use
if you believe in the polls, right? And I don't think that you can discount every single poll.
No.
Now, if someone asks me, do you like Donald Trump or do whatever? Okay, that is a different question than will you vote for him? So you may like him, you may like his bravado, you may like the gold tennis shoes, you may like the plane, you may like all those things. But does that mean you're going to vote for him? It doesn't mean. Maybe you're leaning towards voting for him. I have been surprised to sort of witness the sort of migration to Donald Trump from a number of different demographics, right? From Latinos, from young people. And so, but I do think, honestly, we talked about, if you want to talk about streaming and YouTube and the power of podcasts and all of that, I do believe that and social media, of course, Donnie, I do believe that is having an effect on young people. And I think it's because there are no rules in this medium that you and I are on now. There are no rules on social media for the most part. It's not the same editorial process as traditional or legacy media where you have to speak in facts. And I think that part of that wild, wild west attitude is appealing to young people. Also, they get snippets. Look at what's happening with Gaza and Israel. Kids don't know the history. They don't know all the nuances. They don't know the entire story. They don't.
Do you know TikTok? It's 52-1 as far as pro Hamas versus pro Israel. So of course, what are young people going to think? That's where they get everything from. Yeah.
So when I go on these podcasts and I try to tell people about vaccines, and my dogs are barking.
Hey, doggies. I got 6 dogs. It's okay.
I know.
I'm used to it. Yeah.
I forgot to put them away while I did this. And I try to tell them about the efficacy of the vaccine, that the vaccine is actually not killing people in the sense that they're telling them. It wasn't a pandemic. This wasn't big pharma trying to take their money. It's just hard for them to believe because they want to believe in something else. It's always somebody else's fault. And it's appealing when you don't have rules and there are no guardrails. And I think that's why young people are going over. and black men. It's not black women, Donnie.
I specifically said African American men. Yes,
it's black men. And
so why the gender divide there? What's the nerve that Trump's sitting with men that women are still pushing back?
Because black women are going to save the democracy. They're going to save our republic. They always vote correctly.
That's it. That's true. Look, they got us Biden the first time around.
They got us Biden the first time around, and quite honestly, they saved a whole bunch of black families. They saved a whole bunch of black men like me. My mom raised me when my dad died. My father died, and then my stepdad died, and my mom was a single mom, and she raised me, and I never wanted for anything. So the power of black women, the strength of black women, the strength of women in general, but especially black women, I think that they face so much, that they've had to overcome so much, that they get it.
It is amazing. Thinking, and a lot of it is athletes, but when I hear black men talking about their mothers, there's a level of reverence, and I'm generalizing, of course, that I don't hear
Donnie,
from white men.
Jewish men, come on, Jewish men and their moms.
No, it's much more complicated. Oh yeah, Jewish men don't. They love their moms, and but there's a lot of complicated. You don't hear and my mom gave up this and sacrificed that, and did whatever it took and worked 3 jobs. You don't. There's a connection, and of course I'm horrifically generalizing here, but I'm so moved. It's like a different mathematical equation.
No, you're right. You don't have to qualify it. It's true.
Yeah.
Black men in general revere their mothers.
Yeah.
I revere, I love, I admire, I adore my mother every single day. I either talk to her, FaceTime her, text her, all three usually. Because she sacrificed a lot for me, and again, as I said, I never wanted anything. And I am the apple of her eye, especially, and I'm the baby too. I'm not only the boy, only boy. I'm the baby.
Oh, so forget about
it. So forget about it. So it's all me. But back to your question, I also think that it's aspirational, much like rap and hip hop music is aspirational. Mm-hmm. Men, more than anything, women live in reality for the most part. Right. And I think many times men live with aspiration. And I think people, maybe some people want to be like Trump. Maybe they want their own airplane. Maybe they like that he doesn't have to answer to anybody.
But that was the case the first time around. I mean, that modus operandi was there. But there seems to be a difference in this cycle.
He's also Teflon. It appears to be. And who doesn't want that? It's kind of a dude thing. Like, hey, you can't touch,
Yeah, I hear it. It's interesting.
I get the same thing with young guys. I call it the bro dudes that are, the Rogan sort of podcast type. And I'm not being disparaged. I'm not trying to disparage anyone, but it's true. It's just sort of the rules. There are no rules for me. I don't have to get a vaccine. I don't have to wear a mask. I don't have to abide by any rules. And I think that's appealing because Trump is like that. That's appealing.
And this definition of masculinity is you play outside the lines, and anybody who plays inside the lines is somehow somewhat castrated, and that's the simplistic thing.
A cuck.
Yeah.
A soy boy.
So here's what I also don't understand. I'll talk to people, bright people, not MAGA people that I know, I'm sure you know a lot of these people. And I'll say, you do know that if Trump gets elected, and I'll start to go through the list of what's going to happen, is that we probably won't have real elections again, that he'll weaponize the Justice Department, that he'll have the FCC report to him, that so on and so forth, and that the norms we know, we won't be a real democracy anymore. And they look at me like I'm some conspiracist. And is it that they're not getting it, or they get it and they don't give a shit? Because to me, it's happening in slow motion, in Technicolor. I don't know how you miss it. He's telling us it's obvious. And smart people who think, no, that's an overreaction, Donnie. No, he's an asshole, but they won't process it.
No. Well, I think it's a combination of both. I feel like you can't believe that, but I think that for them to be so convicted, to have such conviction, I think they actually do believe it. I always say, have you read Project 2025?
Same thing I do. I go with Project 2025. It's there. It's all there. Yeah. It's a manifesto.
Have you listened to the man? He is telling you, I'm going to go after my political rivals. Yeah. I want to shut down NBC, MSNBC, ABC, whoever calls out his lies and his bullshit. He wants to shut him down. I said, did you not see what happened on January 6th? Oh, it wasn't as bad as the media was making it out. It's just,
and it's on tape. That's the amazing thing.
It's on tape.
So what is it? What's the human condition? What are we? Let's play behaviorist, national psychologist? Is it just people are just kind of so fed up with everything in the world as they see it that they just want to put a middle finger to themselves, and they truly don't understand what they're throwing out?
Well, I believe we're in the age of nothing matters anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to, I'm sure it's going to tick a lot of people off. I do have to blame the Democrats. And I do have to blame the administration at some point, because I just don't think they're good at messaging. I think their intentions are really good, Donnie. Mm-hmm. And listen, I don't belong to a political party. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I just don't, like, I didn't want to be in a fraternity in college, right? I just kind of wanted to be me. I've always been independent. I think that Democrats are bad at messaging. They're too buttoned up. And I'm wondering why, especially now in this era, when you have a former president, unprecedented, who is on trial, who has, it ranges from 88 to 90 some charges, depending on, what's going on. Some days I hear 91 and they say, no, they got rid of the 6 or whatever. And I go, okay, whatever it is, it's still a lot, right? And who says all kinds of things about people. I remember for Memorial Day in 2020, I believe, or was it 2019, whenever, when he was running in 2020, he called Stacey Abrams Shamu, right? He just the most disgusting, vile things. He talked about, he called someone a skank, like within the same, 24 hours or something like that. And then he has all of these charges, and then he is found liable for sexually assaulting a woman, and on and on. And the Democrats are so buttoned up. They're afraid of making a mistake. They're afraid of unbuttoning the top.
They don't fight dirty. They don't fight dirty.
It's not even they don't fight dirty. It's as they say, give them that old razzle dazzle. They don't give them the razzle dazzle. So, with this bleach blonde, bad built butch body from Jasmine Crockett, they need more of that. Not everybody in the Democratic Party has to be that way. Yeah. But when I think when Republicans, especially the MAGA folks, go low, it's not that you shouldn't go high. You should meet them where they are. Meet them and call them out on it. And don't be afraid to stand up to them. Don't be afraid to tout your accomplishments, because regardless of if the economy was good or bad, Donald Trump is going to say it's the best economy ever.
Yeah. See, there's got to be a smart way to fight. Now, for instance, I'm curious your opinion. Yesterday, I thought De Niro was a miss on the courthouse steps. I didn't think he belonged there. I think I like the fighting words, but I think celebrities are dangerous in politics because it allows the other side to paint, oh, you guys are the elite, liberal and whatnot. Hollywood. And Trump looks stupid with all his acolytes out there. And so I thought that was, I liked the fighting spirit, but I thought it wasn't executed well.
So I think, here's what I think. You are right. I think that there's nothing like the power of the podium and the microphone. Stop letting Donald Trump hold a microphone. Mm-hmm. So when Donald Trump goes out there and gives his speeches every day, I think if I were Joe Biden, I would show up in the briefing room and say, well, while my opponent is out there, being on trial or whatever, we're going to handle the people's business. This is what we are doing for you. Mm-hmm. This is what we're going to do. We've done with the child tax credits. This is what we've done for minimum wage. This is what we're going to do for your taxes. This is what we're doing. Just so you know, you have someone who's in Manhattan now on trial who says he's not on the campaign trail and is pretending that he's not campaigning. So if he's going to campaign there, let me just tell you what we're doing for the American people. Mm-hmm. And I think he should not that he has to campaign. I just think he should talk about what he's doing, and he should take questions from reporters, and maybe he should take questions from reporters when Donald Trump comes out. Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm going to go to the president of the United States. I'm not going to go to Manhattan.
How do you feel about what I said about celebrities? That it's a double-edged sword.
I told you I agree with you.
Yeah, okay.
I agree with you. And someone asked me why De Niro? Why? And I love Bobby De Niro. Don't get me wrong.
How do you not love it? How do you not love him as an actor? How do you not love him as a New Yorker?
I want to see him sitting. I do want to see Bobby De Niro sitting on the set with you and Joe. Now I want to see that. And
what did he do? I think he did Steph Rule's show. I think he did somebody's show on MS recently. Or was it maybe it was Ari Melber's? I don't know.
Ari.
Yeah, maybe it was.
I'm just saying. I do want to see him in that circumstance, talking about his.
But I thought it was beneath him on the steps there. I thought it made him look like just like I do want to hear his views. I just didn't think it was the right place.
And you don't want to make the president seem small because he's big. Donald Trump seems diminished at the courthouse. He's like the Wizard of Oz. Like the curtain has been pulled back. And so, let the curtain be pulled back. You don't have to stoop to his level. Let those, those people, I don't know what you want to call them, with the suits and the red ties, go out there and do their silly thing, and you don't have to stoop to that.
So let's do a little workshop here. I believe if the election was today, Trump would win. There's a long ways off.
I agree.
I think he'd win fairly handsomely. That's the wrong word, but I think he would win, and it wouldn't be that close. A lot can happen between now and obviously, particularly with him self-destructing. So give me the Biden playbook as you see it, because some things are just not making sense. For instance, you ask people, how are you doing? I'm doing better than I was 4 years ago. My finances are good. How's the economy? The economy sucks. Like they're not connecting dots with like it's
Donny, the economy doesn't suck.
But that's what I'm saying. But when you ask people, think about this logic. How are your finances? I'm doing better. How's the economy? The economy sucks. There's a weird disconnect when you ask them about the economy. Like people are not accepting that things under Joe Biden in many ways have been very good.
Okay, because you have the Republican machine that is Fox News. The Republican propaganda machine that is Fox News. You've got the OANs of the world. You've got the Newsmaxes of the world. You have streaming it is dominated by conservatives and people who don't have to deliver the information in facts. And most of those people like Donald Trump. So I think that they are up against it. And I don't think that they say they realize the power of streaming and social media, but I'm not sure they get it because they wouldn't be rushing to do debates with traditional media. And I'm not saying that's bad. Good for them. They're obviously smart journalists and they'll do great debates. Where's the YouTube debate?
Yeah.
That you are talking to the people. My mom is on YouTube.
Yeah.
And where's that debate? I don't think that they understand the moment that we're in. I don't think, as you said, they're fighting dirty. That you believe that they're fighting dirty. I just think that they need some razzle dazzle. And I think they need to get out in front. The president needs to be seen as often as possible. He needs to carry the message. Everywhere you turn, you should see Joe Biden. He should be talking about his accomplishments. He should do what Trump did in 2016. He should be calling into podcasts. He should be calling into morning shows. He should be showing up wherever it is to prove to people that he is not Sleepy Joe. I am awake. Donald Trump is the one who's asleep. And if he's not asleep, then he's napping in a courtroom. You know what I'm saying?
I think so much is going to be on that debate if Trump shows up. I mean, I think Biden was quite masterful in the way he set it up. He teed it up so that he said, look, I'm willing to debate. We're going to do it like grown-ups. And this way he's on the offensive and it does play to his strength.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Why do you say if Trump shows up? A lot of folks I'm hearing say that.
Because for two reasons. Trump is completely transactional, and if he thinks he has more to lose than gain, whereas he would definitely show up if it was a razzle dazzle, to use your word, and there was an audience and cheering and craziness, and he was able to go over time. But in a very restrictive area where it becomes more and more about policy and what you're actually saying versus performative art, he doesn't have the he doesn't know anything. I mean, you start talking about things, and in that environment, it becomes a lot more acute and a lot more noticeable. So the combination of him thinking, I'm ahead, why do I need to give, everybody thinks Biden doesn't have it. Let him think that. I don't want to give him the chance to show that he does have it and also show his. So I'm not convinced that Trump's going to show up.
So then what does he do? It's not legit because they won't allow my people in.
He says, they've done debates like this for many years. Joe's afraid. What's wrong with an audience? What's wrong? I mean, let the people speak. Well, I don't want to quiet the people down. They get a fair audience. They get the right sides from both sides. And why are we changing the rules now? What's the matter, Joe? Do you think I thought you did so well in the last debates. That's what he's going to say.
Yeah. Yeah, and when there's no audience there to cheer him, or the personal attacks don't land as well.
They know it's a lot. It's a frank, much more of a frank discussion of thoughts, as opposed to bragging and grandstanding. And look, he's a showman. So it's like take P.T. Barnum out of the circus, and put him at Charlie Rose's desk. I mean, it's that simple.
One thing to your previous question, when you said what is going on, I mean, look, I'm just going to be honest, and I hate to talk about this. The age thing is really a factor.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's the factor.
And I think that, look, I support Joe Biden. I couldn't have said this when I was on CNN. I'm going to support him because I believe that he at least believes in democracy, right? That's the minimum.
That's it. By the way, I say it this way. We'll get through 4 more years of Joe Biden. May not be the best, may not be the worst. Right. We'll get there. And by the way, even if you don't like Kamala, if something happens to him and she takes off, we'll get through that. We're not going to get through 4 years of Trump. There's no going back. You can't.
Yeah, but at least we'll have a functioning democracy
that's my
on
point.
The other side. Yeah.
That's my point. We'll get to the other side.
Right. So I do think that he presents as old, and that is an issue. Whether it doesn't, to me, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I understand that he has, arthritis in his spine, they say. So he walks a little, different. The man is 80 something years old. My mom is 80 something. She's not she doesn't move as fast, but she's sharp. She's as sharp as she's ever been. I think that he will surround himself with good people. We have to remember we had a president who was in a wheelchair, and
yeah, amen.
Gerald Ford used to fall all the time. SNL made fun of him. I just think that is an issue for some people. It's not an issue for me, but it is.
I think people are equating age and weakness. And one thing America sees itself very much as strong.
They want
they want strong. And Trump, whether you love him or hate him, he projects strength and idiotic strength and demonic strength, but strength.
But you know what, Donny? We keep talking about age. When I said, Joe Biden presents as old, Donald Trump is old too. If we went back,
doesn't present as old though.
If we went back to,
he does, yes.
Yeah. Let's say they went to the same high school, right? And you looked at the freshman class from 19 whatever, and the senior class. So Joe Biden would be in the senior class, and Donald Trump would be a freshman.
Yeah,
it's not that big a difference in age.
It's not. They do project differently. There is an issue that the Democrats have to be honest about that. If you can't solve a problem unless you acknowledge there's a problem there, and that is the one. That's when you say to people, well, Biden, and you go, what's wrong with Biden? And you tick off all the accomplishments. Oh, but he's so old, and you go, okay, and he's made great decisions. He's been great on Ukraine. He's been great on he's more legislative victories than any other president in our lifetime. Other than inflation, which is a big but, and you can't blame him for, obviously that's all the money that came in under Trump and him that we needed to stimulate the economy. But other than that, every metric, I give him points on. I give him a solid A-, B+, A- at the worst.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. I agree. I think Trump inherited an economy that was on fire from Obama.
Yes.
And then, Trump's economy, because, big part because of COVID. COVID was awful. I mean, he could have handled it better, and we probably would not have been in the position that we're in now. It may not have been as bad. But Joe Biden inherited a terrible economy, and I think he's done a really good job at it under circumstances when there was, an obstructionist Congress, an obstructionist Senate. I know that, they're the majority in the Senate, but still, I think he's done a good job. And I had criticized him saying, why does he want to work with these people? They don't like him. They're never going to work with him. Why does he keep trying this bipartisanship? But guess what? He did it. He's doing it.
All right, let's shift gears a little personal. As anybody who reads the papers knows, you recently got married.
I did.
And you are a newlywed. So what has changed, if anything?
He's in the city, and I'm.
That's a healthy way. Look, I need lessons because I haven't gotten it right. I've been married a couple of times, great women, but I just haven't gotten it right yet. So
I was going to say, Donny, separate bedrooms or separate homes.
Yes,
no.
I subscribe to that, by the
way. Look, that is kind of important. I think that you can't spend 100% of your time with someone, right?
I agree.
And I think, look, your partner does not have to. It's great if your partner's your best friend, but it doesn't have to be your best friend. And it's great if they are, but it doesn't have to be your only friend. And you have to be a friend to yourself. You have to like spending time with yourself, and also have the other person realize that you have boundaries and you need to do things on your own. So, Tim says all the time, man, you love being by yourself. I said, yeah, I do. I've always, since I was a child.
Me too.
You need to learn and respect that. And he does. So he's in the city, and I'm out, at the house in Long Island by myself with the dogs, and I love it. Now he's going to come back, but I think the times that you spend together, you make the most of them. You make sure that you date, We make sure that we date.
Yeah.
And then when I need a break, I say, hey, I need a break. I'm going to sleep in the guest room. I got some stuff to do. I want to watch some TV. Blah,
and
blah,
being
blah.
apart makes you want the person more. You really appreciate them. I mean, it's that, like so many people will say, I mean, you kind of say it tongue in cheek, but it's the truth. When you have space and then when you come back and you re-engage, you're able to appreciate it.
Yeah. And so look, I love it now because we were engaged for a long time, and everyone said, I thought you were married. I thought you were married. But it did make it official, Donny. And I did feel differently. As soon as I walked out of that church, it felt different. And people asked me, what did you like most about it? Was it that we had a fantastic reception and we danced all night and it was in a beautiful place? But the vows that was it for me. And I could not stop crying during the entire vows because we wrote our own vows. And I just, I didn't want to do, that whole thing where everyone has, waxes poetic about you're the love of the apple of my eye. I was just like, look, I love that our dogs are obsessed with you. I love it when I bump into you on the way home and I see you and the dogs and I say, and I feel so lucky to be a part of that little family. I love that you fall asleep before, the opening credits of a movie come on. And so, and I love that tonight, I love that the next time that we do that, we'll be husbands. So let's just get married, So
here's my $1 million question. And you and I, we've had some interesting conversations about sex and life and things like that.
I know. And do you remember? I got you. You said that I blocked you. I won't say the other word that you said.
Yeah,
I
was trying to. We had a lunch at my house. You were there. Christy Brinkley was there, and I was making my moves on Christy Brinkley. You were like, I'm trying to remember what you just said. All men blatantly what's the word? Latently gay. I'm like, dude, stop. I'm working here.
We were joking. It was a Margaret Cho thing. Everybody's a little bit gay, but then she leaned into it. Yeah.
And it went off the rails from there. So how do you keep? This is not a gay or straight question. It's a relationship question. How do you keep the passion alive? That's always the challenge for me in a relationship. And no matter who you're with, it's going to evolve to something else. So what's the lemon secret? Because you're a guy who's I know is about passion. Like you're not somebody that's going to not have that in your life. So how do you keep that?
Part of it's my previous answer about loving yourself. Right. I don't mean it that way.
on a daily basis. Right?
Look, if you want to love yourself that way, I think that's fine. But also loving yourself and loving to spend time with yourself. And absence makes the heart grow fonder. That is there. It's a cliche, but it's true. I think also being open when you say you have to let a lot of. My mom said, "Look, when you get married, this is the only advice I'll tell you. You got to let a lot of shit go." Yeah. Okay, and it's true. So I feel like even during sex you have to let a lot of things go. Like you just have to be open to enjoying the experience and about being open-minded about everything. And I think sex is more of the physical part of it is fantastic, but it's really the intimacy that's more important than anything. So I love the passion. And I think you just have to be open. And I also think that, maybe you have like a couple people coming in and out. I'm kidding.
There's the headline. We wait for the soundbite.
I'm joking.
Don Lemon,
Rupples are a big thing now. You know that, right?
Huge.
I mean,
Don
and
Lemon,
I'm not just talking about for the gays. I'm talking about for everybody.
But it's more of a gay thing, though. I mean, it's like, at least when you...
Donny.
No. Really?
No.
Okay.
That's what the conversation I was having with you with Christy there. Okay. You got to listen. We need to talk. There are a lot of things that you need to learn.
You're going to school me, all right? Don Lemon, you are a good friend. You're a gentleman. You're a scholar. The show is on YouTube, and everywhere you get podcasts, it's on fire. I'm glad it didn't work out with Elon because now you've got a real platform without all the bullshit around it. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you, Donny Deutsch. I feel the same way. Listen, can I just be honest with you?
Yeah.
I love watching you in the morning, and I love your passion for what is happening in Israel and Gaza.
Thank you.
And I respect it, and I appreciate you informing people, and just keep up the great work. Okay.
It means a lot to me. Everybody, thanks for watching. If you like it, hit that subscribe button. And we love having you here watching On Brand. And just don't miss any future episodes. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.